r/Askreddit by Reddit and chill. Parents who regret having children. Why do you regret it and how do you handle it? I had a child very young. I got married at 17. Pregnant at 18. Gave birth at 19. He'll be 32 this year. I wanted him for all the wrong reasons. I had a horrible family and I wanted someone to love me. Someone of my own. As soon as I had him, I sat in a rocking chair for 2 weeks and cried. Because what had I done? What had I been thinking? The weight of responsibility fell heavily on my shoulders. I couldn't take care of a baby. I couldn't even take care of myself. And I had picked a horrible partner to have him with. Despite all this, I loved my son very much. I used to say that if they could guarantee me that I'd get the same kid, and that I wouldn't miss him, I'd have waited a few years longer before having him. My relationship with my son to this day isn't what I want it to be. I wish we were closer. I wish I'd been a better mom. I wish I hadn't dragged him through all my drama with men during his developmental years. He deserved much better than what he got. My decisions hurt him. Now that I'm older and somewhat have my shit together, I wish I'd had more kids. I'd be a much better mother now that I have done things figured out. Of course that's not possible. We only get one shot at life. There are no do-overs. My relationship with my son to this day isn't what I want it to be. I wish we were closer. I wish I'd been a better mom. I wish I hadn't dragged him through all my drama with men during his developmental years. He deserved much better than what he got. My decisions hurt him. Have you told him literally just this? My mom had me at a really young age. I was the save the relationship baby. And she was 17. We had it really rough. But she suddenly died at 45. We were just starting to have a decent relationship. And I just feel like so many things were left unspoken. I just wish I could have said so many things to her. Make sure you tell him that stuff. Maybe it'll make the difference. I don't know. I just read your story and it really reminded me of my mom and now I'm sad. It's not that I don't love my kids. But I am a terrible parent. I was diagnosed bipolar 7 or 8 years ago and the illness has gotten worse over time. I told my wife that if I knew then what I know now, I would have never had children. Because it's not fair to them. Thank you to all who responded. Your comments, especially those with bipolar parents, makes me feel a little better. And thanks for the gold. I grew up with a bipolar mom and a very wise guidance counselor once told me that her illness was neither deliberate nor afflicted on me. I reached a mindset where I could say she did her best with what life had dealt her. And really that's all you can ask of any parent. I try to throw myself into other things as much as possible. I want to give her a good life. It's not her fault that I chose to have a kid when I wasn't ready for one. Why did you? I'm the kid in this situation. My mom was married with 3 kids. My dad was 17. I was conceived on his 18th birthday. My maternal grandparents hated me for ruining their daughter's life by my birth. And told her to give me to my paternal grandparents to save her marriage. She did. Her marriage still failed within the first year of my birth. I was raised by my paternal grandparents as my dad didn't know how to be a father. He eventually got his shit together and went on to live his life. Got married and divorced. Now married again. I grew up with my grandparents and had an okay life. When I was 10 my biomom, which is what I refer to her as my real mom is my grandmother, tried to have me in her life. I visited for 5 summers in a row and I never liked it at her place. Apparently I used to cry when I was younger, but as I grew up I realized she was the only one trying to have a relationship. My half siblings loathed me, as I was the reason their dad was gone. I'm 29 now. Bio mom is sad, as I'm the most successful of her kids, but we have such a weak relationship. I see her once every 3 to 4 years, whereas I call my grandmother every week or so. Does she regret having me? Probably. Who knows how her life would be were I never born. WTF. How old was your mom when she diddled a 17-18-year-old? I regret having my son sometimes. He struggles with anxiety and depression. They suck. He doesn't deserve them and he didn't ask to be born. If I'd known of my predisposition toward anxiety and depression, I wouldn't have had a kid. On top of that, I have breast cancer. Poor kid is already struggling. And 12. And he didn't ask to be here. And now his mom has cancer. Duck. But he's here. I feel bad. But I can't just undo having a kid. So I do my best. I listen. I take him seriously. I show him love. I take him to counseling. And I make sure he has plenty of adults in his life who care about him. It's a regret that comes from love. I don't want him to suffer. And yet, it's a part of life. He has more than his share of it. The poor guy. I'm sorry you're struggling. I imagine life is really hard right now. Just reach out as much as possible and ask for help. Kid inherited 100% of my "this is what makes you a jackass" genes. I suck it up with the hope he'll grow out of it someday. This is a thing. My husband got all of the good qualities of both of his parents. His mom's organizational skills, rational thinking and insane intelligence. His dad's good nature, likability, and sense of humor. His sister on the other hand got all of the bad qualities from them both and none of the good. Neurosis and bad temper. Holidays aren't fun. Kid is fine. Who I had the kid with. I feel you, man. My kids are fine and I love them and provide for them. Their mother, however. I love my kid more than anything. But even my love for my kid hasn't changed the fact that I am a depressed, shitty person who really just wishes that I could die every single day. Obviously I'm in it for the long haul and I'm never going to abandon her. I'm just so tired of being the person that I am. Whose woods these are I think I know. His house is in the village though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and frozen lake. The darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep. But I have promises to keep. And miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep. Robert Frost. I meant to have one and ended up with twins. It's the hardest thing I've ever done and I mostly hate it. They are smart and good kids. It's just not fulfilling. I handle it by making copious amounts of time for myself and lots of tears. I still wish I wouldn't have made the decision to get pregnant originally and I don't know if that feeling will ever go away. I never wanted kids, then met my husband and thought, yeah, okay, let's have one. Got twins. I've spent the last 10 years full of regret. Hold on. Let me ask my parents real quick. Yeah, my mom told me more than once that I was the poster child for birth control. Mind you, I've never done drugs, gotten into any serious trouble, and I'm still a virgin at 30. Surprisingly, we have a decent relationship now. But I'll never forget. Edit. I just realized this makes me sound like an incel. I'm a woman from a religious background. My being a virgin is a good thing in my mom's eyes. I don't remember why she said what she did, but my parents are polar opposites. And I have a lot of my dad's negative traits. There were many "you're just like your crazy father" arguments. My father had a nervous breakdown because he spent 12 years, the whole of my parents' relationship, acting like someone he wasn't. Namely, a man who wanted children. He walked out when I was 7 and my sister was a few months shy of 2. And we spent 7 summers and 4 Christmases being dumped on his mother, who hated us, or his girlfriend, who had no boundaries, while he worked like crazy and went to drink with his buddies. It's been 10.5 years since he's had any real contact with any of us. And I don't see it changing anytime soon. Unless he finds out if either of us ever make it famous. No one asks to be born. My fault. Not theirs. That's what I tell myself all the time. I am not sure I'd say I fully regret it. But I have moments. Unfortunately, the tricky thing with the decision to have kids is that there is just no way of knowing how you will respond. There is no amount of babysitting or hearing honest feedback from other parents that can prepare you for the reality. So much depends on the kid. And so much depends on you and what your own weaknesses are. No matter what, you brought the kid into existence. Mistake or not, the kid didn't do this to you. All this to say, The awareness of this is what helps me mentally. I didn't want kids. But I met someone who did and it didn't seem that bad. Typical abuse story. Things went really downhill after I got pregnant and a couple of years later we split and he was deported. Being a single parent is really hard. It would be hard even without the stigma against single parents. You still need to be a person and not just a parent. But that's hard enough to do when you don't get any time to yourself. Or time alone to do adult things. He's a really great kid. He just gets more alone time than some other kids might. Because I need some time to decompress and not have someone barraging me with questions and needing attention. But he's loved. We do a lot together. He has everything he needs. He has good relationships with all his family. I do what I can. But I wish I could do more. I wish I could date normally. I wish when I was seeing someone they could stay the night. Or we could spend the weekend together. I wish I could stay late at work sometimes instead of rushing to daycare. I wish I didn't have to turn down opportunities that involved travel because there wouldn't be anyone to care for him. I wish I could go camping for 2 weeks at New Year's with my friends. Hell. I wish I could chuck on some headphones and go for a walk in the dark. But I can't. For at least another decade. Would be worth support networking. There are places you can take your kid. Support you can get. When I got pregnant both times I wanted kids. I was newly married and happy. We were making decent money and I thought we were ready. Now we are starting to think I'm autistic and my health has been in decline even though no doctor can figure out what is wrong. I regret having kids because I constantly feel like a horrible mother. How do I deal with it? Well, I suck it up and try the best I can. My oldest got diagnosed with autism recently and he needs a strong support system. My youngest has had his own array on medical conditions. They need me to be strong so I do, and whenever I can I sneak away to my friend's house for a girls' weekend or lock myself in the sewing room or in front of the TV. I love my kids and would give them the world even if I regret getting pregnant now. I just wish they hadn't been born to such a screwed up mother because I thought I was fine at the time. Hey, you're not screwed up just because you're autistic. Being on the spectrum has given me so many life lessons I wouldn't live without it. Therapy really helped me. It can help you too. Don't really regret having my kids. But I definitely regret having them 1.5 years apart. They are too close in age. All they do is ducking fight with each other. My sister and I were 5.5 years apart and fought all the time up until I was about 21. Now we are best friends. I don't think the age gap really matters tbh. They'll fight regardless. I love her to death. And I do all I can for her. I regret more this constant having to clean up after more than her being here. Maybe also the lack of freedom. I can't just up and do whatever because I have to consider her. I am responsible. With a few lazy days in there of not picking up the toys. But I desire more freedom and less expenses. My grandfather told me he regretted getting my grandmother pregnant. He just liked having sex and lots of attention from women. He handled it by having 5 shitty kids who wouldn't even mark his grave when he died. He enjoyed a drink and played a lot of cards. How are the kids the shitty ones in this story? I regret my kids because they suck the life out of me. There is no more me. I am a mom. Handling it. Acceptance. But I do love my kids. Hey guys. And ladies. I love my kids. It's not that bad. I'm just being dramatic. But hey. They're asleep so I'm red-eating. It's not all that bad. It's the little things. I can't believe so many of you don't get what I'm saying. Again. I love my kids but they're just exhausting at times. This is my greatest fear. I don't want to lose my self-identity. I never wanted kids and my husband talked me into it. My kids are absolutely amazing. I really hate my husband. He doesn't want to work and loves to spend money. My kids are amazing human beings. Just the best and I really hate their father. I don't want to leave him because I don't want to hurt the kids. The kids are like little parts of my heart outside of my body. I could never hurt them and I love them so much. So it is an odd position to be in but I could never imagine myself without them. Staying in a bad relationship is hurting them in the long run. Almost 100% of people who had parents with a bad relationship, one parent was a shit, say they wish the divorce had happened early on. Staying together for the kids is the wrong move for you and for them. I suffer from postnatal depression. I love my child but duck. I was not made for this. I regret it because he wakes up multiple times a night. I'm getting around 5 hours of sleep a night and it's killing my mental and emotional health. I feel like shit all the time because I'm not getting enough sleep. Even when I do, I still feel like shit because of how broken my sleep is. I don't know how to play with him. I stress every day about what he's going to eat, how much time I should spend with him. I hate the lack of me time I have because I'm so tired I only get an hour each night before going to bed. This past month I've had none because I've been going to bed at 8 PM as he's been getting up at 4 AM. I wasn't made to be a parent. I still struggle to bond with him and disassociate myself from him when we're out at stay and plays. I just handle it by following the golden rules. Is he happy? Yes. Is he fed? Yes. Is he clean? Yes. I meet all of his basic needs every day. But I do worry I'm neglecting him and others as I spend a lot of time on my phone. I play with him and read books to him, but never feel like I'm doing enough. You are doing a good job. If you were not a good mother, you would not be so worried about being a good mother. Ducking, like and subscribe.